You're watching part 4 of the Build an Event app using Microflows walkthrough. If you haven't seen part 1, then click here. If you're completely new to Mendix, then check out the links in the description to create a Mendix account and become a rapid developer. If you already have an account, then enjoy the video. The event manager should be able to create and email newsletters to customers who purchased tickets and subscribe to the festival newsletter. We need a newsletter entity. Each newsletter should have a title, message, and a sent status. Let's also track when the newsletter was created. Since event managers will email the newsletter, let's create an email entity. One newsletter can have many emails, so remember to create that association. Now that we set up our domain model, let's set up our front end by creating overview pages. Make sure that the page is included in the navigation menu, and set up page and entity access. It's important to remember that app visitors also need read access rights to the newsletter. The value of the isSent attribute will automatically be set, so let's remove it from the form. we don't want event managers to edit newsletters after they're sent. So let's set up rules for when the form can be edited. The green bar symbolizes a condition for editing that widget. It's time we make overview pages for the email entity. Since event managers can only view emails, let's change the form to reflect this. We need event managers to have read access to emails, so change the new edit form page to reflect this. Let's customize the email page template. Since this page only allows event managers to read the emails, let's remove the new button and change the edit button to Save View. Make sure that the page is included in the navigation menu. Remember to set up page and entity access. We should also have our latest newsletter available for all app visitors to see. Let's configure the newsletter microflow. Notice how we select first as the range, since we only want one newsletter. Make sure the last newsletter created is the top of this list. In other words, you are retrieving the latest newsletter first. Before the app shows any newsletter, the app must check if any newsletter was created. Resolve Microflow access security errors. Now, we need to set up our app to automatically send a newsletter to all the visitors at a specific time. Let's create a scheduled event that sends newsletters. Right-click on the module. Call a new microflow that will send the right newsletter to the right app user. Enable the microflow and schedule the emails to be sent. Let's set up the new microflow we just scheduled. First, we'll retrieve a list of newsletters. Then, let's filter for newsletters that haven't been sent. Next, we need a for each loop to go through each of these newsletters. We want to keep our microflow organized, so let's create a sub-microflow for emailing the newsletter. We'll set up the sub-microflow in just a moment. After sending a newsletter, we need to change the isSent attribute to true. Finally, the microflow should commit the updated newsletter list. Now, we will set up the sub-microflow to actually send emails. The create and send email sub-microflow will be called for each newsletter. Make sure to link the newsletter parameter we just created with the iterator newsletter. We want to process batches of emails at a time, so we need to set up the batch size and indicate where in the email list we want to start looking. The batch size will be 500, and we will call this limit. We want to start with the first email in the list, so let's start at index 0, and we will call this offset. Let's gather our emails into a list. Remember, we set our offset to start at the first object in a list. We need a list of 500 visitors, so we use the variable limit. Next, there should be a loop which sends emails to each visitor individually. Let's set up more of the batch logic before we add activities inside the loop. Now, we can check if we reached the end of the visitor list. If there's less than 500 visitors, then we know we've processed all visitors and we can end the microflow. We need to add in the ability to create and send emails. So let's create two sub-microflows. Our first sub-microflow needs the app visitor's email address and the newsletter info to create draft emails. Our next sub-microflow needs the draft email as the parameter in order to send them. For the purpose of this course, we will not cover logic on how to send emails. If you want to learn more about sending emails from your Mendix application, you can find a link in description to download Mendix's email module with templates. It's important our loop only creates and sends emails to our newsletter subscribers. If there are 500 or more than 500 visitors still left in the list, then we need our microflow to retrieve a batch of the next 500 visitors. In order to do this, we need to add 500, or the variable limit, to offset, which changes our starting point in the visitor list. From the loop, let's add new emails to the list using the change list action. Outside the loop, we can commit the entire batch of emails. Let's add the email draft to the list of drafts. Afterwards, remember to clear the email list, so we start with an empty list on the next batch. It's time to test our changes. Event managers can now create newsletters. They can also see the latest newsletter from the navigation menu. App visitors can see the latest newsletter, and newsletter subscribers would automatically receive the email by 9 a.m.